business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. Because that'll lead to the profit down the road. Today's guest, boy, she's going to light you up. She's so smart, and she's got something very awesome to share with people. She'll motivate you. She's going to challenge you, but more importantly, I think you're going to walk away with tools that inspire action both in your life and the lives of others, making that impact. But before you dive in, here's your homework today. How are you going to serve yourself and others today? Let's start serving today. It doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage can change the game. So let's lean in, take notes, let's discover how servant leadership in business can create that ripple effects that last far beyond the bottom line. Quick shout out to my sponsor, Epic Impact. Build a messaging framework that works anywhere for any audience. This 4-step system transformed how I pitch, how I social media post, and how I develop my podcast. I get to inspire, I get to engage, I get to persuade, and I get to close with clarity. I use it daily and it works tremendously. Grab your free trial at epicimpact.ai with promo code Steve to start inspiring action today. Quick shout out, we hit top 20 in small business marketing and podcasting. Wonderful honor, but my heart goes out to all of you, the audience, sharing this podcast and great guests like I have today for hitting that mark, because you know what? We are making an impact, and that was my whole goal. So that's bringing said, let's bring Danielle on. Danielle, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to be here, and congrats on getting that top 20.
Thank you. And you're just adding right to it, which I'm so excited about. Inspiration to start a family office database.
Mhm.
Maybe explain what family office is, but why you dove into that.
Yes. All right. Well, family office, if you even asked a room full of family offices, you'd probably get a different answer from each one of them. And that's exactly the crux. It is a highly individualized, call it bespoke, wealth management entity for ultra high net worth families, typically who've made their wealth through an exit. However, there are so many different needs that come with each unique family. They may still be operating businesses. They may be undergoing their wealth transition, which can be one of the most complex parts. And so think accounting, taxes, legacy planning, there's many different facets. And so these family offices are very customized to the individualized needs of the family. And no two are alike, but we do try to put some structure around how they're formed. So you've got the single family offices, which they argue, to justify the cost of running one successfully, you need upwards of 250 million. And, not everyone has that level of wealth, but still would benefit from these offices. So then you get your multifamily offices where many like-minded families share those resources. And then you see other types of, more philanthropically focused family foundations or even trusts. So they come in all different shapes and sizes. And the term family office, has become more widely recognized. But the way we think about it in our database, which is certainly curated, are the ones that we see actively allocating. So most of our subscribers do use the resource when they're looking for that patient, long-term, values-aligned capital. So they make really tremendous investment partners. The tough part is really being able to gain their trust and kind of get their foot in the door. So how I became involved? Right time, right place. I've got an entrepreneurial husband. He learned lessons in business early in his career. 2008, basically had to shelf his very first business in landscape design. And so he set out to find high revenue, low employee count businesses and started one in cloud hosting. And when he was going through his first acquisition, wasn't sure what that partnership would look like, went to see what other business models fit his thesis and found Family Office List. It was started in the early 2000s by a fund manager, very enterprising, had several financial services businesses that really helped that emerging manager go to market more cost effective, more efficiently. And so his prospecting list that took him years to build basically monetized. And Family Office List was this, not to say passive, but it was a static Excel offering that required quarterly updates and kind of blew our mind that people would pay what they would pay for that data. And my husband's partnership, he and his new partner, they were like long lost brothers. So this was my window of opportunity to become an entrepreneur. And when I do something, I pour my heart and soul into it. And what I tend to do is really start with my client. What do you love about this product? What do you hate? And my passion, sales and marketing, really want to help them succeed from that marketing perspective.
Yeah.
And so I could say the rest is history, but it's been a 10-year journey of transforming this stale Family Office List into what it is today, Family Office Access. We've rebranded, and it's now a dynamic platform that clients subscribe to, not only so that they can access client or that hard to come by contact information, but more importantly, the values of these families, how they structure deals, what they're investing in, who's making the decisions, all that necessary context so that you don't just have to spray and pray. You can be strategic. You can really think about the long-term value add partnership from both sides. It's really, no two capital providers are quite the same. And so you want to make sure you're going with one that brings true value and that you in turn are bringing a lot of value to the legacies they're building.
Yeah, you're saving a lot of time. My experience in my company is that's how we met, is family offices, talked about 20 of them, and they're all different animals. But I've got to ask this question because I've been thinking about you since I knew this podcast was coming. What's the challenges serving high net worth companies and individuals like this?
I think the biggest challenge is trust. They receive solicitation, and just because they may keep some aspects of their life private doesn't mean that everything is off limits. It's really, how do I know I can trust you in a world where they're used to being asked and pitched? And so the biggest challenge is really, how do you build that trust? And for me, it's how do you add value? The second you add value, you make it just as much about them, not you. You flip that script, where I think in this world of finance, people become so programmed to think of an investor and to go into this pitch mode, like here are my stats and this is what I'm looking for. But it's kind of like we need to ditch the pitch. We need to think of the relationship first and building the trust, and through that it's what value you offer. And so, you know, I think it starts with really understanding their world, and the world of ultra high net worths, it can be very complex. And so understanding the dynamics of the family, who is composed of the within the family office, who is making those decisions, and how are they thinking about their investments? Are they thinking long term and for the future generations? Are they trying to make an impact and leave a legacy?
Yeah, that's good stuff because that's my experience. And it's funny, the trust goes if you're working with a startup that has no money,
Yeah.
and I'm talking across the board, all you audience listening. But here's the challenge with family offices is trust is even higher because they're going to give you 5, 10, 50, 100, 700 million. We just looking at signing $700 million contract. Well, they're not just walk in and go, Steve, here you go. Danielle, here you go. Building that relationship. So I'm glad you mentioned trust. How impactful are you with your family offices, with your database, your list?
Yeah, I would love to say very impactful. I think it's really fun to see the way the sector is changing and growing. And it used to be that a lot of the data was just aggregated from different resources, kind of culminated and put together. But more than ever before, we have more and more families that are coming to us. They want to raise their profile. They want to make sure it shows their legacy. It shows, what they're working to build and the partnerships they're seeking. We have many that now subscribe because they're also, if they're raising capital for their own funds for their portfolio companies, they want families to also invest. They're not ready for institutional, or they're not interested in working with institutional capital. And so it's really become a fun way to collaborate. I'm a natural connector, and so it's great that I've built a tool that helps accelerate that. But really, when I can do that on a personal level, it's so rewarding. And so, like, one of the things I love is every month we'll hold a masterclass. It's basically kind of like a podcast interview. And it's getting to know a particular family and learning, what was running that business, what was exiting that business, what challenges, and what now initiatives, what are you doing with this wealth? And it's so fun. I'm just a naturally curious person, but it means that everyone listening now knows this person and how they can add value. And it's a great way, just to elevate those in the sector that are leaders. I think I'm very encouraged that in a sector that used to be so private, that there are now families building their brands to stand for things that they believe in, and speaking openly about some of the challenges, some of the dark sides of wealth as well, but that they're rising up and they're really doing good with their money.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you said a word, and I figured it'll come back to me, that
Yeah.
was really curious.
Yes.
Entrepreneurs out there, business owner, if you're not curious, you're not going to be successful like she is. Danielle's successful, and that's not the only reason, but that's a big part of it, because that's what we have to do as entrepreneurs. We're always changing, pivoting, all those great words.
Mm-hmm.
So the landscape of capital I've learned over the last 11 months that you can help us with is news happens, government, that how does that affect family offices and funding?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are, I don't, again, it's hard to put them in a bucket. No two are
Yeah,
quite alike,
yeah,
but they have this large amount of capital, and it's their goal to preserve it for the next generation. And so sometimes they may just want to sit. They may not want to move if things feel volatile. On the other hand, if they see volatility as an opportunity and they're entrepreneurial, they don't have all the red tape that other more institutional investors take. So really understanding their risk tolerance, their long-term goals, and just knowing, yeah, that you really have to do your research in order to take the right approach.
and it's ever changing too. That's another landscape. I mean, this year is different. Trump comes in, it's a different. Biden was here, it was. I mean, it's just different. It's something to be aware of, and it shouldn't stop you. Again,
Yeah.
it goes back to curiosity. What piece of advice, since you're working with family offices, I think you have 5,000 in your database. Is that the number?
Yeah, it grows
5,000.
every month. It grows by 50. So I think we're up to
Jeez.
almost, yeah, 5,200. And they are global. And actually our strength, of course, being a US based company is here. But no, we try to have complete global coverage. And that's also important, when someone decides which package they'll subscribe to, it's really, well, where do you see yourself most successfully working with investors? And I think there are many international investors looking to invest in the US or vice versa, but you have to have that cultural awareness, and you have to understand, like you said, what's happening in their world and how do they think about investing.
No, you're absolutely right. We're actually talking to a Canadian company that wants to fund some of our projects, a Saudi company, a family that wants to, you're right. They want to come in here. And if you, what I love what you do is what you don't know. You just made $1 million or $100 million tip for somebody. It's like, I'm going to talk to some international companies, which you can find at the family office database that she's built. What's a piece of advice you'd give founders, business owners looking for funding, or project managers looking for funding when they go look to talk to family offices?
Yeah. Well, first, I would recommend start planting those relationship seeds before you need funding. Start seeing how you can show up, how you can serve, how you can get involved. Go to a family office conference with no agenda, just to meet people, to hear their stories, to be curious, to ask questions. Because when you have a very strict timeline and you need money, that it will come off as, desperation, and it becomes hard to focus on the relationship when all you're looking for is that cash, that short runway. So my first advice is, start when you don't even need capital. Start working on these relationships, understanding who is who and how you can add value. Then when it does come time to need the capital, you already have the relationships, or you have the network that you can map to get that appropriate aligned introduction.
That's one of the best pieces of advice I've heard on my podcast ever. I've done 708 podcasts because that's worked for us. We have 15 partners that they'll ask you what's your timeline. And here's another tip, and you'll probably agree with this, Danielle. Don't tell them I need the money tomorrow, because they'll write you off tomorrow. They won't even re-engage with you because they got to get to know the project, the company. There's due diligence that has to be done.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that. That's so powerful. You're so awesome.
Oh, well, and your partners too, that's their reputation if they're going to be making those introductions. And so they have to be confident, they have to know you. And that's, we'll do a bit more for our annual subscribers for that reason. We know that we will be having this relationship at least for the 12 months. And so we'll be able to do more in terms of positioning and strategy. But it doesn't happen overnight. These things that you need trust within your partners and the founders, and then they can take you more efficiently to the investors.
Yeah, that's that's a $1 million golden nugget right there, audience. You're looking for money, and it doesn't matter if it's 50,000 or 50 million. It's the same. The money's not. It's not the number and the money. It's how you build that trust, like you said earlier. The other thing you do awesome, when I first met you, struck me big time, was community, your engagement, and how it's growing. What's a piece of advice? Because that's not easy to do. And you've had your ups and downs, you've told me.
Yes.
But I know people out there trying to build these communities. What's some piece of advice you give to them?
Yeah. I think, I maybe brought it up earlier, but I'm more introverted than people realize. So that was one of my reasons for coming on the show. I like to push myself. That feeling of discomfort tells me I'm growing. So for those that feel introverted and stuck, put it out there, see what resonates. But at the heart of it all, just be you, be authentic. Always think not trying to sell anything, but just trying to share your experience in a way that will help others in a very authentic and honest, open way. And it's a consistency game, but if you keep showing up and you show up in that light, it is amazing how doors open and connections are formed. I love, I went to a family office conference and I had someone come up to me, "I love your content." And I thought, wow, I don't know you, but you know me. And it was an incredible feeling in what can feel like a room you don't belong in, to know, hey, these people now, they know me. So
it makes an introvert and extrovert very quickly, doesn't it? It doesn't. The other word is patience with community and tribes. People use mastermind, that group, because they're important. COVID taught us that if we don't have that, you're missing a big piece. Here's the elephant in the room, Danielle. The other elephant, AI and technology. How does that play in your strategy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, AI is something I use all the time, just my own personal tool. I mean, who doesn't love it? Now, Canva, and it's like I'm very good at telling prompts and then getting feedback. I mean, I no longer go to Google. I go to my AI tools to do all my research now. But within our own platform, we're working with a new development company. We're launching our V3 in the next couple of weeks, and it's all about just being able to query the system. Here's what I need. Look through every description, every past investment, and tell me the best recommendation, because I can use the filters and I can go through. And sure, I mean, it's a great exercise. This will just save you a tremendous amount of time.
Well, the query, I mean, that's type in, I'm looking for family offices in Florida with more than 100 million. Holy mackerel.
It's awesome.
Downplayed that. That is awesome.
Well, and if you have nuances, I want one that's going to invest in a women-led SaaS company and invest 3 million, and it's great. I mean, yes, you can put the things, but often there's nuances, and I also want them to be passionate about giving back.
Yeah, filters are a pain in the butt sometimes, to be honest with you. It can be. And you've really, so that's the way to step the game up.
Yeah.
We're getting to the end here. Tell us the story of a family office you work with that you partnered up with somebody, how
Yeah.
successful it became.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love it. I love doing the case studies because first, in the sheer activity of doing a case study, I get to interview the client at the family office. I get to know them better. But then through that, we're elevating what they do. And now everyone to come when there's synergy, it's like, oh, amazing. And so, one of the very first case studies we did, Ian Gragtmans, he was looking for co-GP sponsors for all of his real estate projects. And he was amazing, one of these industry vets who'd been through all the market cycles. He saw actually, volatility as opportunity because he knew how to read those markets. He had the confidence to move when others didn't. And oftentimes there's, they say 85% of other family offices do invest in real estate, but they may not have that sheer expertise he has. And so finding partners who would benefit, they would bring the capital, he would bring the expertise, the ability to do due diligence and move on these deals. And yeah, he just had tremendous success finding these aligned investors to join. And he just reached out to say he's launching his family office now and we'll be adding him to the directory, not just as a former subscriber, but now, a very successful forming his own family office.
That's a cool community when you turn a client into part of your community. They're
Amazing.
part of the community, but
Yeah.
that's amazing. That means you've done a great job. You took care of them, you served them, and brought them value. Oh my gosh. It's just, I'm speechless, which is very rare. Um, what's the future family office list look like?
Yeah, just that. I want more community. I mean, I'll talk to people all day long and it's like, oh, you and you should meet, and I can do those introductions, but let's get the visibility through our tech. Let's build the community where we have elevated profiles for those and we can create more connectivity just within what we're building. And so that's our early next year plan. And yeah, we continue to attend events and we have an amazing ecosystem of partners. I am often one to, let's not compete and reinvent the wheel. How do we bring value to what you're doing? But I think it's come time that maybe Family Office Access does, maybe one flagship event of their own and does it in a way that's completely unique, never been done. So hopefully that those two things will come into fruition next year.
And the query as well. When is the query going to be available?
Gosh, not long, probably about 2 weeks now. Knock on wood. We're testing, so
Audience, look out for that, and we'll get your contact information at the end here. Real quick question, just to get to know you more. So I've reserved a table at a restaurant for you. There's 4 seats. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. So you've got 3 empty chairs. Who would you invite to sit with you, dead or alive,
ooh,
that you want to mentor, ask questions, always wanted to talk to them?
yeah, my
But
goodness.
the other part of the question is most important. What food would you order?
Oh, wow. This is
Anything you like.
okay. So, and you have to think about the dynamic of the whole group.
Yeah.
So Brene Brown, I mean, what an inspirational leader who doesn't, find inspiration in her work. Um, I love Tim Ferriss. I've been listening to his podcast for years and just the way he thinks about things and the way he's curious and entrepreneurial. I could see that being a fun dynamic. And then I would say someone currently alive that I admire, a big community builder, I'd invite my friend David Homan. I recently interviewed him on our Lunch and Learn. He just came out with a book about building community and in this tribal world we live in. And I just think it would be such a fun, dynamic conversation. And in terms of food, my all-time favorite is anything shareable. Tapas. I love like Israeli food or Mediterranean. So I would do things so we could all try and just enjoy ourselves and get to know
Great
each other.
chat food. That's what
Yeah,
I call it. Chat foods. Perfect.
there you go.
Thank you for being an incredible guest. Your transparency, your humbleness is beautiful. I know people listening are going, how can I connect with Danielle or find out more? How can they do that?
Yeah. Well, LinkedIn is always my chosen social platform. You know, we try to have presence everywhere, but LinkedIn is my true love. And then familyofficeaccess.com is our website where you can learn more about our platform.
The servant heart, even at the end, she's simple, complete, and easy. Some people have all these ways. Connect me here, connect me here. Here's 2 ways, connect with me. I love it. Thanks again, Danielle, for your time and being a great guest. And audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel, especially this one. Because here's why. I don't want to say this one, this show. What did Danielle do? Probably made somebody hundreds of millions of dollars. So if you're talking to somebody and you're an 8 to 5 at Apple, and this person's telling you they need $100 million, go, hey, let me share this podcast of Danielle. She's got this database of family office that could help you. They go and listen, they fall in love with Danielle, which they probably will, and they reach out to her or they access the database. You just impacted them. We start with the impact at the beginning. Let's end with an impact. And it doesn't have to be my podcast, Tim Ferriss' podcast, great podcast. If that resonates with you, share these links to impact people. With that being said, me and Danielle want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.